I think we can get going here. People, it's only a few
Let's
I think
do it.
that are not on here.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to keep Brian and Marco unmuted for now. If you see me look up like this, that means I'm looking at the screen. I know it looks weird, but my camera's here. Most of the time I'll be focused up here. Hope everyone's doing well and has continued to be healthy and are staying safe. And just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for jumping on to this call. Thanks, of course, for everything you guys have done for us throughout the history of our organization. A lot of you have been with us for a long time. And no matter how long you've been with us, just want to start off by saying, it's been a tough year, obviously, for all of us. And we hope you've been as well as can be. We've been pushing along here, trying to, just keep things as steady as we can to be ready to start up again when we could. And we're finally at that point, and we will be starting leagues again finally next week. So really excited about that, and happy as hell to see you guys. Excited to come back and help us out when we do that. As you could imagine, and I'll give you some kind of background on where we are and what's going to start happening next week. But as you can imagine, the numbers aren't going to be quite what we're used to. With between people not quite being comfortable coming back, between the time that it took to actually be able to get started playing leagues again, numbers are different. So it's not the normal. At this point, we would normally have around 3,000 teams playing with us across all of our sports, and we'll be closer to 800 or so this year. So I just kind of say that so you guys understand. Things will be a little more intimate. Things will certainly be different for a lot of reasons. And we will be in kind of rebuilding mode for the foreseeable future because of a lot of, reasons, but the biggest being, hey, like everybody else, we had to shut down. So now, we've got to get back and going. There's the people that are coming back to play. They're really excited about it. Brian could tell you that just because he's closely in communication with those folks. I can tell you that because I've been in communication with them as well. But there's also a little bit of unease with it too. Just like everybody else that's a little concerned with, as I go out to do things, what's my exposure risk? Nobody wants to get sick, right? And as we start up again, our goal is to make it so that we do everything that we can so no one gets sick at our leagues or events. But, being back in kind of rebuild mode, it's going to be kind of, touch and feel as we go along here because, as you guys probably know, and you've seen around the country, the virus is spiking again in many places. We might get started and we may have to stop things based on location or based on sport or based on everything. And so, clearly, I think, I just want to be honest, let you know it's an uneasy time, but it's a time that we think we're prepared for. And, we'll work together with you to do things the best that we can and make it through it. The season that we're starting up is kind of combined with some of the spring leagues we would have had and some of the summer leagues that we would have had. And there's a lot of things that we're having to do right now because there are fragments of people that have signed up for different leagues. And so we're combining them to make the biggest and the best leagues that we can across the sports that we can play. So enough about that. As we start up next week, I guess I'll just let you know, softball is going to start again. Kickball is going to start again. Football, flag football will start again. Bowling will start again. Soccer will start again. Tennis will start again. Basketball is going to be starting again. And I think that's all that we can. Volleyball hopefully will, but beach volleyball, we're not quite ready yet because they haven't opened the beaches yet. So we're still waiting on beach volleyball. But the rest of those sports will get started, and we have leagues ready to go pretty much for all of those sports right now. So I do want to let Brian and Marco kind of welcome you guys back also before I get into kind of the rest of what the call is about. But again, thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you all again. Hope you've been well. And Marco, Brian, why don't you guys just say anything you'd like right now before we get started on the rest of the presentation.
Definitely. Thanks, Chris, for the introduction. And I just want to personally say, thank you to all of you who've decided to reach back out and, commit yourselves to Chicago Sport and Social Club. You guys are all wonderful people, and I'm just so happy to hear that you guys are staying healthy and staying safe. And, you know, you guys are willing to go back out there and, you know, provide the city of Chicago some fun. You know, we all need a little bit of a break. And by going out there to these leagues and, you know, people trying to get a little bit sense of normalcy again is extremely important. Not, you know, not just from a physical aspect, but from mental. And I know you guys all know that. A lot of you have probably been in the same situation where we've been stuck in our houses for a long time here. And, you know, the time is now. The time is now to get back out, and we're going to do it safely and responsibly. And we're going to do everything in our power to keep you guys safe first and foremost. And obviously everybody that's out there playing. So again, thank you guys. I'm super excited to be in touch and talk to you guys again, and, you know, work with you guys again. So thank you guys again for being on here tonight. It's really important for all of us to come together and, you know, make sure that each and every one of you, when you leave here today, you know, feel good about going out there next week, because that's what this is about. You know, if for whatever reasons come up where you're not feeling comfortable, you know, not so much where you're not feeling healthy, but just not comfortable, you know, we need to know that. We don't want to put anybody in a situation out there where it's not good for you, or, you know, it's not good for anybody that's going to be out there. So again, thank you guys for your time here today. And again, looking forward to speaking to all of you guys again on a day-to-day basis. I know you guys love my texts and emails and calls all the time. So I'm just super excited to get back at it. Brian?
Yeah, thank you, Marco. I'll echo what Chris and Marco both have said, and that we're really appreciative of you guys and what you bring to the table. All your different skill sets and customer service really is what makes us kind of go as a business. And you guys are the eyes and ears and the face of our organization out there on a day-to-day basis. And without you guys stepping up, it would be tough to run even at a fraction of what we normally do. So we really appreciate your willingness to kind of be out there and your trust in us to kind of deliver a great product day in and day out and keep you guys happy, healthy, and safe. So if anything does come up, if you're uneasy or you're hearing from participants, we want your feedback. This is obviously a new and challenging time in everything that we do. And so everything's got to be fluid and changing constantly. So that kind of give and take communication from you guys is going to be really key to understand, hey, week one went this way. I think it'd be better if we do it this way. You know, we're learning as we go. We've evaluated from other markets around the country that have already started up some of their practices. Our club in Dallas started up, had to close back down, and is starting back up again. So all these kind of key learnings are really important for us to keep things going and keep you guys working and keeping you guys happy and keeping you guys safe. And that's really our main aim. We deliver a fun outlet for people, a social outlet, and obviously social distancing makes things challenging, but we still believe in the core of our business and believe in all of you guys. So we really, really appreciate you helping out, and it'll be really key, like I said, to kind of communicate to Marco what challenges are presented, what questions you're getting, what you're feeling, so that we can kind of make adjustments and keep everybody happy and keep it as close to the core sports as we do. And if we have to make certain rule changes or differences in how we kind of schedule or do things, we'll do what we can to kind of keep people, not only you comfortable, but our participants comfortable. But it starts with you guys being comfortable out there and safe, and then exuding that kind of positivity and customer service and relaying that level of comfort so that they in turn feel comfortable. So thank you guys, and I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Brian. So we've got a presentation. I'm going to share my screen with y'all and run through that. And what we're going to really cover is how we're planning to approach things and the measures in place that we're put in place to make sure we have the most clean and safe environment we can have, right? Both for you and for our participants. That's the name of the game now, right? We've got to really take that seriously and make sure that when we start up again, people feel comfortable. People see that we're taking precautions that we need to take, and you know, that's going to keep us all safe, including our customers. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll run through this. Can you guys all see the presentation? All right, cool. So guidelines and procedures. So I'm going to back up just a step and let you know that we have a document that we'll send to you that basically goes over our basic guidelines and procedures for how we're going to operate leagues.
Everybody here has received that document, Chris, so they're
Okay,
all
great.
received on
So
that.
you
Yep.
guys have seen that, and it talks in general terms about what we're going to do everywhere, and also talks in specific terms about how we're going to manage things for each sport. So please make sure you've read that. The teams will see that, and they have access to it, so they understand what we're planning to do. And so everybody should be on the same page in terms of how we're going to do things to make it safe. So general guidelines and procedures, as we start at the top, the first thing, first and foremost, is if anybody's not feeling well, if you think you have any symptoms that could be COVID-19 related, or if you've been exposed to anyone that has tested positive, we want you to let us know and make sure that you stay home. It's really the number one thing that we can all do is that if we feel sick, we quarantine ourselves. So some things that we can do if this ever happens to you is we can help you find a test if you need it. And in certain situations, I'll just say this, we'll help you pay for the test if you need to. They do have, I think if you've got health insurance, they're very affordable. We'll help with that if you need to, because if anyone that works with us does feel sick, we want to make sure if this is a problem for you, if you have COVID-19, and help you get back to feeling better as soon as we can. So if you're not feeling well, you let us know. We'll get the shift covered, and then we'll help you figure out, if this is something that you've got to worry about, how to get tested, and if you have it. And we'll get more into that, what would happen later on in the presentation. Come, play, leave, avoid gathering. So this is a big one for all of our players. We want them to think in terms of that. We don't want people milling around before or after they play. And that's something that we'll have to do on the fields and courts to make sure people adhere to that. But the key is keep things as simple and as confined as possible as far as who's at a certain location. Right now, we can have up to 50 people at an event. And so if at a softball league, we have too many teams hanging around before or after they play with other teams, obviously that's a problem. So come, play, and leave is the plan. And that's what the participants are being told as well. We're going to try and have some signage in place that we can put out. We can't do this everywhere, but we'll try to have some things that kind of tell people what we're trying to do, quick bullet point information. So that's something that you might see at your league. And if you've got it, the plan will be, just to put it up. If it's at a softball field, you put it on the fence. If it's at an indoor location, you might put it on the score table. Wherever it's something that people can see is where we'd want those put up. We'll be keeping an eye on what's going on with what the CDC and the city and the state are saying needs to be done when it comes to events. And, things like how many people can we have? Are there certain sports that we can or cannot play? All those types of things we'll make sure that we're up to speed on so that if anything changes, we'll let everybody know. Avoid congregating in groups, touching surfaces. So we'll talk a lot about this when it comes to how it relates to our leagues. Is we're going to try and make sure we designate places for people to go so they can stay within their kind of team unit, right? Currently, that's what is most important. People should stay kind of in their groups. It's completely opposite of what we try to do, which, of course, is kind of hard for us to adjust to, but it's what we've got to do right now. So try to keep people apart. As far as touching surfaces, clearly outside, there's not a lot of surfaces that people would be touching together. Things like dugouts and that type of thing, I think it's pretty easy to keep people from touching those too much. Water fountains will not be open at Park District locations. Neither will the bathrooms, which is another thing we'll talk about, but they're not opening any of their comfort stations. They've also said that we cannot put portable toilets out because they're worried about congregate surfaces, or I guess surfaces, locations that many people might go to. So that's going to be another thing that we'll tell our participants so they know, hey, I need to go play and then I need to leave. Because if I have to go to the bathroom, there's not going to be a place to do that here. And then finally, no post or pregame handshakes, high fives, celebratory conduct of any kind. I will say it this way. We're going to ask people to make sure that they're very careful about doing that. When you're at your leagues, we're not necessarily going to make you the high five police, but we would ask you to look at things, and if they look uncomfortable, to remind people. A lot of this is about making sure people are thinking about how they should act, right? And how they can behave so that there aren't major issues. So things like, the next bullet here, staging and waiting areas for teams, we're going to have those. And the way we're going to do it for certain sports like football or kickball is we've determined a side of the field or dugout for the home team and a side for the away team. I can't recall off the top of my head. Marco, do you have that handy?
Home on the left-hand side of the field, away on the right-hand side of the field. We'll get to that, specifically with each individual who's working at each location to kind of just lay that out for everybody in terms of, what to expect and what to share with the participants once they arrive.
Perfect. So social distancing, of course, is key. We hear it everywhere, but it is key in practice. So for those sports, that's what's going to happen. When it comes to football and soccer, the plan will be, hey, we need to keep the teams on separate ends of the field, right? So in one case, that might mean one team's at one end zone, one's at the other, or it could just mean opposite ends of the sideline. If they're on the same side and there's enough space to keep them apart, we want to keep teams, we want to keep groups at least, I would say at our outdoor locations, keeping groups 20 yards apart should not be a problem, right? That's plenty of distance. So maybe use that as a gauge, but the point is definitely we want people social distance when they're not playing. Not only from their opponents, but even within their own groups. Limiting spectators at all leagues. So we don't want, and we'll make these announcements via email communication, but we'd rather not have spectators there. So things like kids and pets. Again, I think what we'd be asking you to do is keep an eye on that. And if it's a problem, talk to the teams that might have the spectators there. And I think the way you would approach it, we're probably not looking at a ban here where you just say, hey, they have to leave now. But make sure they understand, hey, guys, we got to make sure that people here supporting you are going to stay distance from everybody else. And in the future, right now, we really don't want that. So we'll communicate it to people. People might break that rule. As long as people stay socially distanced and it doesn't get out of hand, then just reminding them is kind of what we want to do. If you see a situation where there's dozens of people and it's out of hand, then that'd be one where you'd want to, stop the game and have some people leave. But that's probably never happened in a league, and I don't expect it to. But, those are the types of things to kind of be thinking about. As officials, we'll be asking you to do some sanitizing of certain areas as needed. And this is going to be more so for indoor leagues probably than outdoor. But when it comes to outdoor, depending on the location, if there's benches or other things that a lot of people are touching, we'll have things like sanitizer to wipe things down, or wipes where you can wipe certain things down. And we'll let you know where that's needed and what we want you to do. And again, we'll be asking you to use your common sense and your understanding of what we're trying to do here to do those things when needed. Let's see. And I think that's all for this part here. Okay. So other things we'll cover today are going to be PPE, so personal protective equipment that we're going to require for our staff, officials, and participants, how we're going to manage our equipment and our balls to keep things clean and safe, player management, social distancing, how we're going to check people in and make sure we know who's playing so that we can do contact tracing if we need to, everything we're going to give our customers, and what happens if someone tests positive, whether it's a player or one of our staff people. We'll kind of give you an overview of how we're going to handle that. So the theme of what we're going to be talking about this whole season and this whole year probably is Let's Play Safe Chicago. If you saw our ad campaigns last year, it was Let's Play Chicago. So as we start up, we just want to play safe. And our goal is to set the standard for returning to play. And And as we do this, you know, we're going to be working together with you to make sure that we do have, you know, programs that are as safe as anything out there, and that people feel as comfortable as anything else out there. That's how we all get to do more and more of this and, you know, get back to where we want to be. So our goal is to find a balance between making people feel comfortable about their safety without making it seem like they're going through security at the airport. We want to normalize the situation while sticking to the procedures outlined in this presentation. All right. What's going to happen, you know, is, and it's really, to me, I think up front is what's most important. If we nail this at the beginning and set the right tone, then we should see adoption from our players and everyone buying into some of the small things that we're going to ask them to do. And that will carry on. As we know, with any situation, after a few weeks, there's a good chance that certain things start to become relaxed, but it's going to be up to us to try and make sure that doesn't happen and keep the right tone throughout our season. Okay, looks like I wrote on the screen. Sorry about that. Squiggly lines. Okay, we talked about this already. Guidelines and procedures for our staff and officials. And scroll down here a little bit. Okay. PPE requirements, okay? So we've already kind of set the tone that, hey, we're going to have an organized idea of where people are supposed to go when they get there. An organized idea of what are we going to do to set up and make sure that things are going to be safe and healthy, and what tools might our officials need while you're there. So for participants, we are going to ask them to wear a mask when they're on site at all times when they're not playing, okay? So mask, face covering, whether it's one of these that kind of comes up. Brian, if you want to show them, demo what you're doing. But anyway, you've got different types of masks, right? So something like this, totally acceptable, right? When a mask is being worn, it should be covering the nose and the mouth. Something like this is fine, okay? Face coverings when they're not playing is what they need to be doing. It's city mandated. It's not a sport and social club rule, but it is something that we need to enforce. So we'll support this by letting people know in advance that that's our policy and that's what people need to do. If you see someone not wearing one while they're not playing, what we want you to do is ask them to put their face covering on. If they're socially distanced by, call it, eyeball it, 10 feet or more, obviously 6 feet or more is kind of the standard rule. But if it's clear to you they're socially distanced, that's okay. But even if you see that, you should ask them, hey, do you have a mask? Okay, because if you do, just make sure you're ready to put it on if someone's close by. Once we start playing, they can take it off, because during play, we're not going to mandate that people wear it. All right. We're going to have disposable masks available, face coverings. Can you guys see this? Mark O'Brien, help me out if you can.
Yep, you're good.
So we will have these at all leagues available for you if you forget yours, but for anyone that needs one if they don't have one. We've got thousands of them. So that's one thing that'll be there. So if someone doesn't have one, you ask them to put it on and they say I don't have one, you can give them one of those, okay? Just like anything else we have in stock, we'll want to know when we're running low so we can bring more out to you. Some players might want to play with a mask on, and of course that's fine, okay? We're not going to tell someone to take a mask off, so that's okay. It might help to compliment people that look cool wearing a mask. I think people look great with masks on. All right, other PPE. So participants will be notified in their confirmation emails and their league event descriptions that masks are required, especially for indoor games. There shouldn't be any surprises. If you encounter someone that refuses to wear a mask, just a few tips here on what you can do. You know, you're gonna ask them, if someone says, I've got a medical condition or for whatever reason, I'm not wearing a mask, then here's what you would do. Ask them to maintain social distance. Again, while they're playing, it's not a requirement. So this is before or after a game. You would just say, okay, can you do us a favor and just make sure you stay at least 6 feet away from people if you're not wearing a mask, because as long as you're socially distanced, that's okay. We'd like you to have on a face covering, but if it's something that someone's adamant about not doing, as long as they stay away from other people, that's okay too. If you have an issue with someone and they're upset and they want to talk to someone, then let them know they can call us and talk about it. That's fine. I think the point is we're asking you all out in the field to set the tone, ask people to do what we're telling them, but you're not going to be needing to kick someone out or, you know, do anything as far as enforcement other than ask them, because, you know, that's kind of where we are. And we don't want to put you in a position where you're trying to enforce something on someone that they don't want to do. We would like you to suggest it and try to get them to comply. And if they can't, then it's more about mitigating the risk, keep them away from other people. If other people get upset because someone's not doing it, talk to them about what's going on. And you should be able to find a level of cooperation to where people understand, hey, they're not wearing a mask because whatever reason, they're staying away from people. It's okay. Okay. So hopefully there won't be a lot of that. There probably will be some, but I think most people in Chicago kind of get it, that it's part of the deal right now.
Chris, I think we've had some questions in regards to if somebody refuses to wear a mask and is not keeping socially distant, what should our officials do? Obviously, if they're jeopardizing the safety of officials or other participants,
at that point,
yeah.
So if they're making you uncomfortable, then do what you would do in any situation where someone's kind of out of line. If it's clearly something that's uncomfortable and out of line, then you have the right, obviously, as the official, to stop a game, to ask them to leave, and to not start the game until you're ready to. So I guess that goes a little bit against what I was saying. We don't want you to have to be removing people. I don't want removing people to be your first response. But if it gets to that point where people are not comfortable, treat it just like someone that's at a game or a lead that gets out of hand, foul someone too hard, pushes someone, whatever else, when things escalate and you have to take action, whether it's to kick them out or stop the game, you know, you still would have the power to do that. And then, of course, if things go beyond that, just like you would in a normal situation, you would, you know, call 911 if you need it. It's going to be, if it gets to that point, treat it like any other escalation in a game that can take place. And then anytime someone, you know, makes you uncomfortable, just like in all those situations, we're asking to please report that to us. And so even if someone makes you uncomfortable because they didn't wear their mask enough, make sure you let us know what team it is, right? And we'll try to talk to them to understand what's going on, to try and get them to understand what we need them to do. So I think another theme to think about is always trying to be aware of what's happening and trying to report back what's going on so that we can make adjustments if we need to. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, if anybody else has more on that, obviously feel free to type it in the chat box here, or, you know, if you want to talk offline, we can certainly do that as well.
Yep. Okay, more on PPE requirements. So league monitors, managers, and officials, we're going to ask you at all times to wear a face covering. Now, the one exception will be officials if you're, say, reffing basketball, reffing football, reffing soccer as an umpire while you're running, while you're moving around, and if you're exerting a lot of energy while you're working, and having a mask on at all times doesn't work because it's causing you discomfort and potentially any kind of medical issues, then the idea would be have it on. So if it's one of these here, right, normally you're like this. Once you need that breather, you keep it down like this. Make sure you stay at least 6 feet from anybody, okay? If you're doing that and then putting it back on when you got your breath and you're doing okay, the point is we want it on as often as you can have it. And if you're not in a situation where you're doing a lot as far as physical exertion, we expect it on all the time, especially before things start. at half times, at the end of games. The exception is only if you're exerting a lot of physical activity while you're in certain situations you have to do your job properly. Then if you've got a mask on with the ears, you want it down here, okay? You still want it on. So if you have to go talk to someone, you can put it right back up. It's really important, and we need everyone to buy into that and do it. And it's something that, you know, is going to be a requirement from us. So I want to see if anyone's got any questions on that at this point, because I know that's probably something you guys have all been thinking about.
Chris, there's a question here that says, basically, are officials going to be paid for forced forfeits due to non-compliance with these mask rules, or being put in a situation where they and the other team, their opponents, is not comfortable?
Yeah, I would say that. So, look, our goal isn't to not pay you if you've put in the time and the effort. So in a situation like that, you know, look, when you're there and there's a forfeit, you get paid for the time, just like any other forfeit. So the only, yeah, I would say yes. If you're there and there's a forfeit, you're going to get paid. If we find out in advance, you wouldn't, right? If the game is canceled, but if it's an on-site thing, yes, you would. Okay. Electronic whistles. So Marco got these. Pretty awesome. We have enough for everybody. So these are important. It's an IHSA kind of thing they're implementing, which is rather than blowing in a whistle that's going to spread droplets, you know, whoever knows how far. Electronic whistle is battery operated. We're going to give everybody that officiates soccer, basketball, flag football, floor hockey, and anything that needs a whistle, so that you've got one of these and you can use it. It's battery operated. They call it electronic, but there's no electricity, you know, involved. It's just a battery. But we'll start you out with a whistle and a battery, and then you may have to get new batteries if it breaks down. You can also get these. We can send around that Marco maybe where people can get them if they want more. But we want you to use these electronic whistles. It's got a nice strap, so you can keep it on. Blow it. Okay. All right. We talked about being masked whenever feasible to decrease the risk of transmission. And the other thing, we'll have gloves, so other PPE we have. By the way, I'll show you this too. We have shields. If anyone wants a shield rather than a mask, we've got them. It's totally up to you. If you want to use one of these, we can get you these too. We also have hand sanitizer that we'll have with every league. So this can be put out for participants to use. We've got a lot of these bottles, and we have tons of sanitizer, so we'll have these available for you. Rubber gloves we'll have. All right. If you want to wear them, you can. It's something that isn't quite as important as the masks, but we will have them available if you want to use them.
Yeah, so just to reiterate what Chris just said here, everybody. So every single league that we are going to be operating here, starting up and for the foreseeable future, you are going to have disposable masks, enough for yourself and for every participant that's going to be on your field or court for that day. Hand sanitizer, enough to get you through that shift for the entire night. Disposable gloves. I personally would recommend wearing these disposable gloves. I don't see any really downside to it. But it's up to you. We're not going to mandate that you absolutely have to. And then we will have these face shields. We won't have those out at every single league, but I ask that you contact me directly if you feel more comfortable wearing one of those. We've seen a lot of, other leagues where the umpires and, some refs are actually wearing the mask and the shield. If that makes you more comfortable, by all means, feel free to do so. And pretty much, we may have some disposable wipes at, especially some of these indoor facilities we will. But every single field, no matter where you're at, you're going to have this stuff. and it'll be available and readily to you. So you don't necessarily have to bring any of your own. I would encourage that you do, because more is better. But we will supply all of that stuff at all of these leagues. So just want to, clarify that. I know we've gotten a lot of these questions here on the chat. We will be providing everything for that.
Yep, and here it is. All facilities will have the following: masks, protective face shield coverings if you want them, hand sanitizer, disposable gloves, and in some cases, wipes. Okay. All right. Any other questions about this topic? Marco, we look good?
I think we're looking all right. We can, a lot of questions for you guys have a lot of good questions here, guys. We are going to run through all of that. So just bear with us as we get to that topic specifically, so we don't, just waste a little bit of time here.
Cool. All right, so ball management and equipment sanitation and storage. This is key. We're going to rotate and disinfect balls. Participants will be instructed to bring their own balls for warm-ups, okay? And we're going to have out permanent markers in case they want to write their name on it so they don't lose their ball. We're going to refrain from letting players use our provided game balls for warming up. This is to minimize the amount of touches on a communal ball. So for softball, this is pretty self-explanatory. We have, the one game ball. So we're going to provide the one game ball, and then people will need to have their own balls to warm up with, is what our plan is. That'll be the plan for everything, for soccer, for basketball, for volleyball. We're going to tell people that this is what we're doing. And the whole idea is we want one ball used for the game. Clearly there are situations where we need backup because a ball might get lost. So we'll have enough there to do that. But the goal is a different ball for each game. All right. We're used to doing that with softball. With the other sports that we do, we're not quite as used to it. But the plan would be this: if we're doing 4 soccer matches, we're going to probably pack 6 balls, and we'll pack more than that if we think we need to at Lincoln Park because balls go missing. But it's going to be up to us. We'll pack enough balls so that you can use one for each match, and then teams need to have their own balls to warm up with.
And there will be a designated area, bag, bin, something at your league or facility. So once that game ball has been used for the game, again, with the exception of softball, because those game balls we want you guys to discard, we want you to put those used game balls in a specific area. And again, whatever location you're working at specifically, I'll reach out to you and tell you exactly what it is. Is it a bin, is it a bag, or whatever it is? And I ask that you guys put those balls in those bins for us. So once your shift is over that evening, we from our office will go to that facility, that location, pick up those balls and actually sanitize them for the next. Again, like Chris said, we want the least amount of touching per ball here, and we have the capability to do that, so we will moving forward here.
Right. And what we'll do, we'll have wipes available at the leagues. If you get in a situation where, for whatever reason, you're running out of balls, you'll be able to disinfect a ball after a game in the rare instance, which hopefully doesn't happen, where you might need to use it again. So our goal is the balls last a lot longer if we don't continue to make them wet. And we want to have enough so that each game is played with its own ball to minimize the number of people touching that ball. So as officials out at the fields, you're going to have to remember there might be a lot of equipment left behind if people are bringing their own practice balls. So just try to take a look around once games are done. Remind players to look for their balls. And if you see a lot there, just try to help find the owner of them so that they take them. Okay. Okay. Equipment, sanitization, and storage. So storing equipment neatly is a must to reduce unnecessary handling. So we want to make sure things like cages are locked, garbage is discarded after each game at the end of your shifts. And if you're doing things like packing a van after a league, or putting things in a storage closet at a facility that we use, really important that things are put away neatly and organized so that the next person that needs to do anything with it doesn't have to do a lot of rummaging around and touching things that have been touched by other people. We all need to do our part to keep things organized and clean. That helps everyone keep the spread down. Doing things like wiping down common areas and items that people come into contact with. We talked about this before, but we are going to have wipes available for you, and disinfectant in some cases. That location by location will make it clear as to what we want to wipe down, but it'll be pretty self-explanatory. Benches, things people use, poles and nets they might come into contact with, pens and markers. We'll go through that so you know what it is, but we are going to want that stuff wiped down. Any questions about this?
I think we're good there, Chris.
Okay. Player management and social distancing. All right, so pregame announcements are going to be coming, and kind of the beginning of the games are going to become a little different than what they've been. But again, like always, pregame announcements are important, especially as we start the league, but we want to keep reminding people of what we're looking for here throughout the entire league. So now more than ever, it's important to bring captains together at the beginning for announcements. Only the captains. Everybody should maintain 6 feet of social distancing during this particular discussion. We'd like you to have the mask up when you're doing it and making sure they can hear you still. But then we're going to lay out expectations so we all are on the same page, okay? So things like everybody, be careful while we're out here. You don't have to wear your face covering while you're playing, but we should still think in terms of social distancing when you're not playing, doing things like high fives and, celebrating like you might normally do. Try to do it more with your, with your words and than with touching. Keeping distance between who's on the sidelines, making sure they are told, try to stay 6 feet apart at all times while you're not playing, whether you're on the sidelines, celebrating, whatever it is. That's what we want people to do. What else? Masks over nose and mouth when you're communicating, but also when they're not playing. Give people reminders of what's working and what's not. So if, you're talking about this and you see a group that's pretty close together and you ask them to kind of give themselves some distance and they get to that 6 foot point, say, this is perfect, you guys, this is what we need to be doing. Just making sure they understand social distancing is part of what they need to think about while they're playing. Obviously, we'll do our normal announcements about the league. The other thing that you'll want to kind of make sure people understand is at their location, kind of what areas they should plan to be in. So make sure they know where their dugout is. Make sure they know where their team is supposed to be hanging out while they're not playing. And then just like any other time where we don't want them wandering around, especially an indoor facility, make sure they understand, hey, we need to stay where we're supposed to be and not wander around too much, because we don't want people, potentially just touching things that they don't need to be touching that other people might touch. And something else that we'll bring up right now, I guess, is within pregame announcements, we want to make sure you're checking outdoor locations. We've had major flare-ups with people drinking on our fields throughout the last few years. It's gotten to be quite a significant problem because communities are starting to, kind of point the finger at us. Facility directors are certainly not pleased with it when they see it. So we won't allow anyone to play with liquor or beer at any of our games from this point forward. So what that means we need you to do is you need to look for it. And if you see it, we need to tell people, hey, you've got alcohol here. We're not going to play the game unless you can get rid of it beforehand, because we cannot have that here. It's against the law, and it's not something that we want people doing while they're playing in leagues. So that's a firm one that we need you to look for and stick to. If there's alcohol in the fields, people have to get rid of it before we can play. Okay. So keep that. That's going to help with a lot of this stuff too, because we know what happens when people drink. Their inhibitions go way down and their actions become a little more difficult to predict or manage. Big one. So during pregame, we've got some new things we're going to have to do, and this is going to take a little bit of time. So we'll be looking at how we schedule things and trying to take that into consideration so that there's a little bit of time between games. We'll still have our time slots, and in some cases, maybe 50-minute, but we're going to be careful about 45-minute, depending on what sport it is, because there's going to be a little extra work that we're going to have you do. There's two main things. One is we're going to give you the tools so you can check in all the players that are playing. Everybody's got a smartphone. We're going to give you access to our registration and management tool, League Apps. And there's a very simple process that you'll be using to get to the game that you're calling, pulling up the roster, and simply asking the team captains who all's here and checking them in. This is really important, and it should be done before we play. And the reason it's important is, we'll get to this a little bit later, if someone does test positive, we need to be able to communicate to everyone that was there that it happened, and make sure that we know who was there. So, you know, if we don't know who it was or whatever else, we just need to know who this is and let people know to do our part so that people understand if they've been exposed. So the process, we'll go through that in a second, but it's basically through our league management platform called League Apps. Our officials will need to check people in that are playing in the game. The second thing is we're going to be sending out something called a turbo waiver, which is basically a daily attestation, it's called. And people will get this, they'll click on it, and it will ask them questions as really two reasons. One, to remind them of the importance that they're thinking about these things. And then number two, so that they've told us that they're healthy. So the questions are basically, do I have any symptoms of COVID-19? The answer, in order to get the status that I can play, would be no. Have I been in contact with anyone that has tested positive for COVID-19? No. If I feel sick, I will leave immediately. Yes. Those are the basic questions. Once they attest to those answers in the correct manner, they get a green screen that lasts for 24 hours. So they're going to get this communication a day before they play. They're going to fill this out, and if they have passed everything, they have a green screen, they're going to have to show it to you guys so that they can play, so that you've seen, okay, they've taken the precautions, they're not sick, they haven't been in contact with someone that's sick. Sounds like probably a lot, but it should be fairly quick. It's basically about everybody, captains, let's check in everyone that's here. Okay, and I'm going to walk over to each team. Hey guys, need to see those green screens that you're cleared to play. They pop them up and you see them. Someone doesn't have it. So the two things that are going to happen, they're going to slow things down. One, people aren't on the roster yet. So we'll talk to you about how that's going to work, because they can sign up right there on their phone. Or two, they haven't done the turbo waiver yet. And you see the URL there. That's going to be something that you could tell them how to go on their phone, and they can take it. It takes literally a minute for them to do. Our goal is to get everyone to do that and be checked in on the roster before they play. There are going to be exceptions. Someone doesn't have a phone. There's no internet service. I can't do this. We want those to be at a minimum. But if there's a situation where someone can't be checked in for whatever reason, we're going to ask you to make sure you take down their name and an email address so that we know how, A, we know who they were, and then B, we know how to get a hold of them. So the point is, we need to know everyone that plays at every game or match, and then we need them to tell us basically, hey, I'm good, I'm not sick, I haven't been around anyone sick. And it can all be done on phones. It should be possible to do this everywhere. When things break down, our point is, make sure we know who it was, and if they didn't do the attestation, make sure we know who didn't do it as well, so we can keep track of that. Okay. While you're doing that, try to maintain social distancing. We are going to tell people beforehand that we're going to ask them to do this, right? So things we do is we try and get people to sign up on their rosters ahead of time. We'll be telling them they need to do these attestations within a day of when they play. Again, it's very quick for them to do it, and we'll remind them to do this. There's going to be times where you're going to have them do it on site, however. Once that's done, you'd be ready to play, right? As far as checking them in, I'm just going to run through this. We'll send this to you so you have it, and I have a cheat sheet. There'll be one cheat sheet. Marco, Brian, let's make sure we make this. That's like a one-sheeter on all of this, but then I'll have specific instructions on how to check someone in and how to get them to agree to the daily attestations. So you're going to have a login at manager.leagueapps.com, and your site ID is there. The username for everyone is the same. The password is the same. So this page is key, but you'll get this information. When you log in, you get a list of all the programs that we've got. So worst case scenario, you'll have to go through that list and find the league you're at, click the schedule button, and then game by game, you can pull up who's on the rosters to check them in. What we're going to work to do, and Marco's going to work hard on this, and you guys know he's awesome, is getting the link for your league either posted on your work schedule notes. I think you can do that, right?
Yep.
Or it'll email you or text you, but I think the work schedule might be the easiest way to do it.
That
So
or,
in theory,
I mean, yeah, we'll figure
Marco
out
will
the best
work this
possible way
out.
for sure.
Probably for each of you, it might be a little different because we're all different. But when you have that link, all you would have to do is click that link, log in, and then your league will show up automatically. So the point is, there's a long way to do it with the search function, scrolling through all the leagues, or the short way, which will be you have the link that you need for that league and you click that. Okay. Once you have that, you check them in. If someone's not on the roster, there's an easy way for them to do that as well, which is they go to our website, they go to the league they're playing in, and there's a button that says join a team. They click the button, they go through the motions to register for free, because at that point, those are free roster spots because the team's already paid for, and they add themselves to the team. Their captains also, by this time, will have gotten 3 emails from us, well, at least 2, but I think 3, that give them instructions on how to invite players to join the team. So they should have notes already on how to do this. Worst case scenario, they go to the website and they do it, and it can be done again within a minute. So, and the more people we get on these rosters earlier in the season, the easier it is the rest of the time.
Definitely. And one thing that we will be doing is monitoring the rosters prior to the league's beginning. So for instance, if we have a Monday night league and we see a team only has their captain on it on Friday, they're not really responding to our emails. We will actually be calling them and, basically pushing them to get all their players on the roster to minimize the amount of work that you guys have to do here. This is all new for everybody, and it's definitely going to take some time, and it could potentially cause issues for our game times with parks lights turning off because we're running behind checking people in. So our goal is to eliminate all of that as much as possible. So we'll do everything in our power here to make your process literally just clicking a couple buttons and checking them in. That's how easy and seamless we want this to be. We don't want this to, again, cause any problems, later in the night or future down in the road in the game. So based on what Chris was saying, it sounds like a little bit more than what it is. But again, we are going to work on making sure that everyone just has to do a few little buttons and, going through the roster quickly and doing that.
Yeah. And then, so as far as the daily attestations, people are going to have their phones. So this is what it looks like. You can't see that. It's green. Trust me. You see it on the screen, but it literally has a black check mark on a green background. It says their name, says the times that it's good for. You can see it on the screen. And it's good for 24 hours at a time.
In some locations, guys, here too, some of the bigger parks, for instance, Lincoln Parks, where we have multiple fields where we do have managers on site, we will work with the managers to assist all you guys that are out there. But no doubt about it, every single person that is going to be working every single league, including our basketball officials, everybody needs to be a part of this and has to, work with everybody else that is there on site from our team to make this as seamless as possible. We cannot run any of these leagues without this tracing. It's a city mandate. It's on us as an organization to make sure that we have information of everybody that's out there for your safety and everybody else's safety. So this is very important. You guys really have to treat this, you know, top of mind. This is something that's new, and it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, obviously, but you know, I'm going to take the time to speak with each and every one of you individually to make sure you're comfortable doing this prior to heading out there next week.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the way I think about how it's going to work best is everyone's showing up, they're staying socially distanced, they get to where they're supposed to get. You decide it's time to have the meeting with the officials or the captains. You pull the captains in, go over your few announcements, thank them for doing things the right way, what we need to do, and then you say, all right, I'm going to start with your team, Captain A. I'm going to run over, and I just need to make sure I've got everybody checked in. It's on your roster. I need to see everybody's green screens from their turbo waiver, and just go down the list, check them in, look at their screens. Someone doesn't have their screen. You know, you ask them to pull it up and do it. And then really important to keep a documentation of who did and didn't. Now, we get, once someone's checked in and once someone has done the turbo waiver, it's locked in the database that we've got, so we know that it happened, right? So we know who was there, and that's all you have to do. And again, hopefully we'll do enough on the front end to let people know what they have to do so they're prepared, and you know, they'll do it.
You know what, a couple questions here.
Yeah.
Couple questions here. People are asking Chris about physical waivers. So correct me if I'm wrong. We are eliminating physical waivers on site right now for everything. We do not want people sharing pieces of paper and waivers. Literally the only person who should have any type of paperwork with them is yourselves as officials. You know, keep track of scores and lineups and, you know, whatever
Except
else.
for, we'll give the teams their own waiver cards.
Sure,
like we
right.
do.
Yeah, that kind of, we'll go.
Not waiver cards, scorecards. Yeah,
right.
For softball.
But in terms of any type of paperwork that, you know, that was normal in the past, right? Physical waivers, you know, basically anything that they would need to turn back into you, we're not requiring that. All this stuff now is going to be done online when, you know, they check in. The one-time waiver, once they create their account initially in Chicago Sport and Social Club, they agree to our waiver. So that's taken care of. So as long as you see them on these online rosters, it's you're done with that. So I hope that answers a couple of these things. A couple other questions I've gotten here about team photos. No, look, again, I'm going to personally talk to each and every one of you before each and every league you go to here, you know, starting next week. But no, we are not going to do any of that team photo stuff. Teams love it. I mean, you guys know that. I know you guys probably don't as much as they do, but they do. It's something, you know, it's camaraderie. It's something to show, you know, in the past what we've done, you know, friends, photos, whatever. We just can't do that at the moment, you know, as much as we'd like to, and, you know, put it up on our Facebook or on our, you know, team pages, on our home pages. We're not going to be doing that at the moment. You know,
the one thing I'll say is that we might make Marco a celebrity, and just I would tell you guys in your announcements, you can encourage people to take your team photos. You can add it to your team page because they can do that themselves. If they do it and they want us to post about it, they can send it to Marco or leagues@chicagosocial.com. But yes, you guys aren't going to have to do that.
One question here, a good question here by Curtis here, Chris, is what about guests? So obviously you mentioned, you know, we can't make it mandatory, obviously, for, you know, participants not to show, right? I mean, we can at some indoor facilities and things of that nature, but we can't ban people from going to a public park, sort of say. Right. Are those guests going to be required to do any type of check-in for tracing purposes?
No, but they're going to be asked. So any spectators or guests should not be anywhere really near the teams. Anyone that's not playing should be at least 6 feet away, watching from an area that's socially distanced from the rest of the people there. So we won't be checking them in, but it's something you have to watch for, and you'll have to speak up and say, hey, if you're not playing, we do need you to be at least 6 feet away from everybody that is playing, and maintain that social distance. If you have a face covering on, that's great, but we still need you to be 6 feet away. Now, it's going to be if it's someone's girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever, take a look, and, you know, if it's clear who they're with and they're closer than 6 feet with them, that's, you know, you're not going to stop that.
And
but
one thing I would also say, Chris, is if they are making, you know, if they're not complying, sort of say, and they're not keeping their socially distance, I would say we can treat them as as a participant for that team, and you know, treat it as a player at that point in time. If they're not complying with your recommendations and suggestions, you can. I feel like, you know, they should be able to, you know, treat them as a player at that point in time, and, you know, ask them to leave and stop the game until they do, if they're making other people uncomfortable, including themselves. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Well,
100%. Any
Hey
other
guys,
questions?
can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Said. I'm a soccer ref. I have a question about the stats. I would not feel comfortable at this point approaching players for stats, names. Is that something we're eliminating for now, or is that going to continue?
that is going to continue to succeed. So with the stats, it's going to be very similar to the check-in process, where you're going to have to, your responsibility will be to check in every single player that comes out there. And when you're doing that, you're keeping yourself socially distanced. So when the players are coming to check in with you, they need to stay at least a minimum of 6 feet away so you can talk to them and check them in. When somebody scores a goal, you can go with 6, 10, 15 feet away and ask them for their name so you can write them down on your sheet. That is not going to be a problem, because it's going to be the same thing that you're going to.
I would say, yeah, and the goal is to try and have that service, right? If you're not comfortable, we would say, this is how we'd like you to do it, right? Work with your partner, but if you maintain that social distance, we think that it should be okay. So, but if you're not comfortable, Saeed, you know, we'll work with you on that. The other thing, you know, that I would say is, our goal is to keep the services close to what we've, you know, been building towards and what we've been doing as possible. And if there are situations that pop up that you're not comfortable with it, you know, make sure you let us know, but try to do your best. We think we can still do this stuff safely. If you were 10 feet to 15 feet away, Saeed, would you feel comfortable with that?
Oh yeah, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, again, we're not asking you to go hug them and say, hey, you know, great goal, like their teammates may want to. Again, they're not allowed to do that either. You know, it's all about the service, right? We still need to try to provide the best possible service while keeping you safe and everybody else safe. And you know, as long as you're keeping that socially distanced, we feel that you're wearing your mask. You know, you put your mask on. That's another thing. Put your mask on. Make sure you put it over your mouth and nose when you ask them. You know, but stay your distance. That's all you need to do. Just have them shout it out to you and you'll be okay.
Okay. Any more questions about that topic? Tom has a good suggestion here. Okay. Information that we're going to provide to our participants. So in every league description and confirmation email, they're going to receive the following. So the click here is to get them to be able to read our CSSC COVID-19 measures and procedures, our guidelines for safe play, which you guys have all gotten as well. They are told in bold and in red, all players must be added to the team roster, and we give them the link that I talked about here to where they can add themselves. We're going to have.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt. The one important question here that I got prior, you know, regarding with the check-in and stuff. So a lot of our officials, right, soccer specifically, basketball, you know, the referees, a lot, maybe not so much soccer, but football, basketball, you know, a lot of these officials are scheduled to show up at game times, and obviously, you know, do their games and go. Are we going to ask them to show up earlier to assist in these check-ins? And if so, will they be compensated for their time to assist with that?
I think in the cases that it's needed, absolutely. So like with basketball, I think the scorekeeper is probably doing most of this work for basketball. When it comes to softball, kickball, and everything else, for the most part, we always have someone there at least 15 minutes to a half hour before game time, correct?
Yep.
So I don't think it'll change that much, but Marco has the authority and, you know, will make the call on what time that's needed. And if there's an issue that comes up where it's not enough time, we'll adjust. But I think for the most part, we have that in place already.
I think, yeah, I think the back end is what most questions are. You know, obviously with doing this, it is ultimately going to lead to potentially some delays on the back end, right? So if you're you're scheduled till 10 o'clock and you don't leave until 11 o'clock, will they be compensated for that additional time? I think is what a lot of these questions.
Yeah, of course, but I think it's something that we'll be working hard to stay efficient.
For sure. And if it's, exactly. And if it's something that's causing that big of a delay, something is not right. We're not doing something right. So we need to work with you to make sure that we close that gap and, fix that, whatever procedure we have in place. I think that's probably a good way to go around that.
Correct. It's going to be somewhat intense, but we know it can be done. I've been to restaurants. There are additional steps in place everywhere I go, but they still get me through, it seems like, very similar to the same time. I know it's going to be different, but it's something that should become a fairly quick process. If there are issues that come up, we'll be fair. So
obviously one thing to reiterate, which I will teach and everyone, timeliness here is going to be extremely key. So if we have you guys scheduled to show up at the league at 6 o'clock, we need you guys there at 6 o'clock. Show up at 6:15. You potentially cause a 15-minute delay now for the entire league, as we know this. So we need to be strict on that. We're going to work with everybody, but we have to be on time and on point with all of this if we're going to get these league games in, because nothing's going to be worse than going into a fourth game of an evening and all of a sudden you get a couple innings in and the lights go off because in the beginning of the night you were late. So again, we need that to be on the front of everybody's mind, obviously. And again, I'll be talking to each and every one of you, and we'll be working on the timing with that for sure.
Yeah, and I'll bring up, so when it comes to lights, and if you get in a situation where you're worried about lights turning off, go ahead and reach out to the on-call number, and we'll work with you on what to do. One thing I'll bring up, Lincoln Park, for instance, the lights won't be on past 11 o'clock if we have games going to that time. So we'll work with you guys. The soccer leagues there and some of the softball are going to be probably the most challenging with this. So we're going to need to work with you. And on the nights where we're playing till 11, we should have a league manager there, because those are the nights that are big enough for that. And we'll all have to work together on that. So, whether it's Marco on the front end with the league manager and with you preparing for that, or if something goes down that needs attention and you call the emergency hotline, we'll try to work with you to make sure that we can get things back on track or make an adjustment that we might need to do. So look, we don't want to disappoint anyone, and we don't want you to be in a position where they're disappointed. So we'll have to communicate with you pretty closely in those situations. Okay, also here, another reminder, number 4, they're being told face coverings are expected to be worn to and from games, not required during play outdoors. This not only protects yourself, but everyone else participating. Indoors, at this point, we're not planning to make people wear face coverings either for the sports that we have going on.
I think key word here too, Chris, encouraging people to constantly wear their mask when they are not on the field or on the court. So if they're on a sideline waiting to sub in for a game, ask them to do what you're doing right now, what Chris is doing with the mask around his neck. Ask. Again, you cannot make them at this point in time, but ask. Communication is going to be key. Ask them. It's for their, point it out, it's for their safety. It's for everybody's safety. And communicate. Just communicate what you would want somebody to communicate with you, whether or not you were on board with wearing one or not. That's not the point. So we want you guys to just encourage everybody to do it, and hopefully they will. Now, if they're on the sideline and they're not wearing one, then again, you're going to encourage them to socially distance while they are on the sideline. Keep yourselves 6 feet apart. But please, if you have a mask, put it around your neck, put it on when you're on the sideline, or have it on your bench there and just pick it up and put it on when you're good to go. Or ask the umpire, ask one of you, ask one of the referees if you need one, because you're going to have them on site if they claim they don't have one there.
Cool. And number 5, any COVID-19 related questions, concerns, or exposures can be directed to leagues@chicagosocial.com or our emergency line. The people that are on call will field those if someone out of the fields or courts has a question for you and you feel like it needs to be escalated. You should take note of it, but also let them know, hey, for this concern, you really should reach out to leagues@chicagosocial.com, or if you really want to talk about it now, call the emergency hotline and someone will help you. Okay. Also, we're telling people in every league description and confirmation email, show up 5 to 10 minutes early and check in with the CSSC staff on site. If you arrive earlier than that, please wait in your car or outside the building so we can minimize the number of people in the facility or at the field at the same time. The game will begin at the time listed for your event. Please be ready to start on time and stay until the end. Please be mindful of the other groups playing and follow the guidelines provided to prevent the spread of COVID-19. CSSC staff will set up the court, field, provide a game ball, and make sure any common areas are wiped down before and after each game. So this is what we're telling our players, to not really show up on their field or court until 5 to 10 minutes before game time so that they're not there with another team, okay? And then we're asking them to leave right away after they play. Also, it says in what we send out to the folks, do not sign up or attend this league if you have any symptoms of being sick or have been exposed to someone. So we tell them this in the emails beforehand, plus the daily attestations. Wear a face mask inside the facility other than when you're actively playing. Hand sanitizer will be available on the court or field for use at any time. Feel free to use our disinfectant wipes, which we'll have there as well, to clean your area or your own ball. If you live with or will be in close contact with at-risk persons, please consider them when deciding to sign up for the league. Bring your own clearly marked water bottle for hydration. So we don't want people sharing water bottles. 5 to 10 minutes again before, leave immediately after. We understand people have different comfort levels as we enter social situations during this time. Please be respectful of other participants' sensitivities to touching, closeness, and mask wearing. Do not shame anyone for their opinion on the matter. We want everyone to feel safe, and we're all in this together. Should there be an issue that needs to be addressed, please talk with CSSC management immediately. So these are the reminders and the points of emphasis that we're sending out to all players before they play. Okay. So what happens if someone does test positive or shows symptoms of COVID-19 at one of our leagues? We'll start with an official, so a staff member. If one of you were to test positive, as I talked about before, please let us know. We want to support you and help you. It's important that we know so that we don't put you in a situation where others might become at risk. And we want you to feel confident and comfortable. All we're going to want to do is help you out and try to get you back healthy as fast as we can. So we don't want you to feel concerned about that. We will not share your identity with anybody other than people in this office that might need to know. So myself, Marco, Brian, who might be involved in the overall management of the programs that you're involved with, so we know not to schedule you and what we need to do to try and help get you back and healthy. We will not share your information with anyone outside of this office, of course. That's a HIPAA violation, and we will protect, anything that happens with you like we would anytime with the utmost security. So we'd ask you to share the details, though, about kind of what happened. And Brian brought this up before. So we started our leagues in Dallas again about a month ago. And a week after our first night, one of our staff members there called us up, and she told us that she had tested positive for COVID-19. So we did the things that are on this list to make sure that people understood what was going on and what the exposure risk was. Thankfully, she's back now, has tested negative, and will be working for us again. But basically, that's the type of thing that can happen, and we need to know about it because we need to communicate to people so they understand that they might have been at risk. So what it says here is we'll ask you to share your details so we can gauge the level of risk. So we'll want to know where you were, who you might have come into contact with, because at that point, we need to notify all the people that you may have come in contact with. So if you're on one softball field, we would be reaching out to all the people that played at your field to find out, or to let them know that someone on the field has now tested positive for COVID-19, and they may have been infected while you were there, So we want to make sure that you understand that. We notify them. They're not told who it was. We won't say it was the umpire or the official or anything of that nature. We'll just simply say someone at the field and let them know the level at which they might have, been at risk. So things like wearing your mask, staying socially distanced. We'll be asking you those questions as we interview you to find out kind of how things went, and then we would relay to people how severe their risk might have been. And then they'll decide if they need to quarantine or get tested. We're not making that call for anybody. But we will, in the case of you, if you were to test positive, we would ask you to take a 14-day time period, certainly at a minimum, from the time you tested positive before you come back. And before you would come back, we would want to see 2 negative tests, which is a city mandate for workers. And like I said before, we'll help you get the tests and we'll help you pay for those tests to make sure that you can get them. And then once we can clear that you're no longer positive, then we would invite you to come back to play or come back to work. If we believe you were in contact with another CSSC staff member or official who tests positive, we'll notify you immediately. And at that point, talk with you kind of about what we might want to do. If it's pretty clear to us that you were in close contact with someone that tests positive, we may ask you to quarantine, or not, at least to not work at our events until we can, make sure that you're not going to become infected. But we'll have that conversation in an open and honest way on both sides, just to make sure that it's fair and it makes sense for everybody. If the facility becomes aware of 2 or more cases possibly associated with us within a 14-day period, we're required to report cases to the Chicago Department of Health. So what that means is if we have more than one person who becomes infected within 14 days, we've got to report that. And at that point, we might be in a situation where we have to pause for a while. So again, really important that you let us know, and so that we can take the precautions to let the people that might have been around you know, and make sure that we understand who they were so we can control things. If you show symptoms for COVID-19 and cannot make your scheduled shift, please report your symptoms to us immediately. You'd be reporting that to Marco. At that time, we will likely ask you to self-quarantine for 2 weeks, and we'll want to have you get tested and want to have 2 negative tests before you come back. So we've got to take it really seriously. If you've got multiple symptoms, we want you to let us know about it. And again, if you're concerned about it, please let us know and we'll help you get tested so you know if you have it or not, and take the appropriate precautions to make sure that it's safe to have you at the courts or fields.
Yeah, communication is key here, everyone. Please don't hide anything. Don't be scared to share anything. Like don't be embarrassed. Don't feel like you cannot talk to myself or our office. We need to protect you to the best of our abilities, and we cannot if you're not sharing information with us. So again, like Chris was saying, reiterating, everything is private. Your conversation with myself stays between you and myself, and vice versa with Chris and Brian or any management at CSSC. So we need you to just be open and honest with us and tell us what is going on. Don't force yourself, don't be worried that you're going to be out of work if you're not feeling well. We will work with everybody on a case-by-case basis. But the main point of this entire thing is keeping everybody safe. And if you're not being honest with us, that means you're not being honest to anybody out there, and that's going to cause some significant problems for everyone. So again, just please keep in mind that the line of communication between myself and yourself needs to be open 100%. So anything that comes up, please reach out to me. Let me know what is going on, and we will take care of it and speak together about it.
So next up, if a player tests positive, so we're going to be asking participants to let us know if they do as well. And if we find out that they have, this is why checking people in becomes so important, and make sure we know who was where. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to reach out to you if you happen to be working at that location to make sure you understand, hey, there was a player that tested positive on this date. Talk through kind of, we'll be asking them questions, interviewing them to find out as much as we can about, what their experience was there. But we want to be able to let you know if you came into contact with them, and determine if we think you should get the test as well. Anyone that played with them on their team or against them will be told as well that someone at the location tested positive and you might have been exposed, and they'll determine their level of potential risk and get tested if they choose to. A player would need to have 2 negative COVID-19 tests before returning to play as well. Okay. So that check-in process becomes, it's super important, and that's why. So if anyone has any questions about that or anything else, we can just open it up.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't you guys, if you guys have any other questions here, please go ahead and type it in the chat. We'll take some questions here for the next few minutes. If you don't have any questions, guys, again, I want to just thank you for taking the time to jump on here. It's extremely important that, we have you guys.
You're muted, Marco.
I know. 1 second, Marco. Marco, sorry.
No, it's right. Gotcha. Where did I leave off?
Start from the top.
All right. So yeah, the main thing here, guys, is making sure that you guys are feeling safe and comfortable out there at the fields, courts. That's what this is all about. So hopefully this meeting, this little session, gave you guys a little bit more clarity on what to expect starting next week and moving forward. Again, if you have any kind of feelings of uncomfort or something doesn't feel right, I encourage you to reach out to me directly. Again, we do not want any of you to head out there if you're not feeling comfortable or safe. And we're in a situation where, the reality is, the likelihood is very high that someone or a player or something gets COVID, and we're going to have to deal with that. But we are going to do everything in our power as a company at Sport and Social Club to make sure that we can do everything to eliminate it, while still providing fun sports leagues for people to go out and enjoy on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, again, any questions, guys?
Yeah, Anthony brought up a good question regarding forfeits and if we want to encourage teams to stay and play if there is a confirmed forfeit. And Anthony, I would say yes, but clearly this is going to be a consideration for people. So in the ideal world, you would ask a team that maybe if there's 2 fields going on and they're both forfeited against, we would want you to ask them, hey, would you guys like to play each other? If they say yes, then we say, okay, let's come on over to this field, stay socially distanced, stay safe, and we'll play. If there's a forfeit and a team wants to use the corner of the field on their own to scrimmage, I'd want that practice to continue to allow them to do so, because they've paid for the time. So yes, we would. It's got to be done safely. If you feel like there's not a safe way to do it, then we wouldn't, but I still think that can be done safely. So yes, we want you to.
One quick note on forfeits and things like that is that for what we've done for scheduling is we've only put out a 2-week schedule for each and every league, even if it is sold out. And that will buy us a little bit of room and wiggle room if something does happen with a positive test. And also if there is a forfeit or a team that isn't showing up or something like that. So please communicate when you're reporting your scores to let us know there's a forfeit, because if someone is forfeited against, and in the past we would try to grab a couple people here, a couple people here, and that's not probably what we want to be doing unless they can stay socially distanced. But we can probably do a better job because of, unfortunately, the lack of registrations compared to what we've had in the past. We can probably build in a makeup game for that team that's unable to get that forfeit.
And to Brian's question here, somebody had a good question about substitutes. What is our stance on substitutes of teams who run short? like to Brian said, are they allowed to go and still pick up 2 players from this team, a player from this team, another player from that team?
I mean, if the teams are comfortable
They
doing
are.
that, I mean, they certainly are, and we'll need obviously them to do their attestation if it's somebody that's didn't already play. That's
If
just
they're
somebody
already
that's
there, if they're already there, they should have that. They should also be checked in. If they're not already there, then we would want them to get on that roster. They need to be on a roster to play is the point. So
So they would
I
need to
think-
follow a normal check-in procedure as one of their team players in the beginning of the game.
correct.
So if they want to go ahead and do that, you can allow them to do so. You know, they may not have an account with Sport and Social. They may never have even played with Chicago Sport and Social before.
Well, I would say so. That would be the distinction I would make. Actually, I'm saying it's okay. You know, people that already have been cleared to play, that's different than just someone that's random in the park. So, you know, that's one you got to be careful about. And if it's someone random in the park and they happen to pick them up 15 minutes before we didn't see it, what are we going to do? They just have to get registered. Correct, to your point, Marco. But if they're sitting there and they've got 6 players for a softball game, and you see them kind of going out into the park, that's where I would draw the line and say, hey, guys, sorry, you got to have people that you know or people that are already part of the league to do this so that we know who they are. That's the difference I would make. Picking up from other teams in the league, people that are already kind of cleared, I think is one thing. Outside of that, if you see it happening, we'd want you to step in and say, we can't do that. You know, something that we'll just talk about here, this is everything's sensitive right now. So, and to Brian's point, and I've said it as well, the registrations are they're just different than normal. So certain leagues aren't as full as they normally might be. There might be people, this is another reason why we're doing the 2-week schedule. People might come out, play, and decide, you know what, I'm not comfortable. So it really gets to forfeits. It gets to the management of things. We'll want that feedback when we get it from teams. If teams drop out, we'll redo the schedules. We're going to do everything we can to make the experience as good as we can. When things come up, as you guys know, if it rained out the week before and then the next week there's a problem with something else, things start to kind of build and escalate. So it's going to be real important just to communicate on what's happening so that we know of any issues so we can address them, number one. But number two, you know, make sure that we're able to figure out where there's any problems and make sure we make those leagues smoother the next time out. We do that already, but there's going to be a little more sensitivity right now. And I think it's going to go a couple ways. I think people will be, to a degree, a little more relaxed than normal when it comes to the stuff that they usually complain about. My hope is, at least, I think maybe they'll give everybody a little bit of a break as an official and an umpire.
Wishful thinking, Chris. Wishful thinking, buddy.
But on the flip side, you know, they're going to be more sensitive to certain things as well.
Cool. Well, thank you guys again. I don't see anything else, any other questions here. Thank you guys for sticking on a little bit longer than we anticipated, but we wanted to just convey as much information as possible. Chris, thank you so much for running through all that for everybody. Again, I'll be in touch with everybody next end of this week, you know, for our league starting next week. So we can all just kind of touch base on everything we talked about tonight, as well as get you up to speed on the whole turbo waiver and check-in process so you're comfortable with that heading to your leagues next week. And, you know, we're going to have our one-on-one conversations just to make sure that, you know, if you have any questions that come up. I know, you know, you may not be thinking about it right now, but overnight or tomorrow, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't pick up on this. You know, that's what I'm going to be here for. I want you guys to, you know, ask me questions and keep in touch and, you know, safety and feel good while you're out there. We don't want you going out there feeling like, you know, this is not good. We want you guys feeling good at all times. This is about fun, but also being safe.
So Luis just brought up a good question. So Luis will have permits to be where we are. If law enforcement is out there and they want to shut down, you would have a conversation with them, let them know why we're there. What we have going on should look the part as far as not too big and not too out of hand. So if we're managing things well, we should look like it's okay. But if they should, you know, the ask would be for you to talk to them and try to make them understand that what we're doing is okay. And if it's not, obviously, we're not asking to fall on the sword and get arrested to have the league, but you'd reach out to us right away. That should not be an issue, but if it becomes one, then we'll have to deal with it like we would in any other circumstance. A couple things that we'll do to follow up. So you guys have already gotten the procedures we're putting into place. We'll send you the link to join league apps so that you can log in and you're familiar with how it looks. Marco will work to get you the link to your actual league each time you're there. We'll also send you the daily attestations link so you can do that. And I think that's something I'd like you guys to try and do. Once you have the link, you can do it at any time. And Marco, let's put reminders in. It'd be good for all of us to do that. For instance, at our building, there's a sign-in sheet here, which we're going to start using. But it's really just about a reminder for all of us that, hey, I should be taking this seriously. But we'll send you that stuff so you can kind of look at it and get familiar with it. And always available for questions if you've got them.
Also, we had a couple other questions rolling in, Chris. Somebody's asking here, what if a law enforcement is out there and they want to shut us down?
I just addressed that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I did. I just, with permitting, obviously, we will have permits for all this stuff.
I responded to that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. Did you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The permit should do the trick. If we're doing things the right way, Marco, it should look like it's okay anyway.
I gotcha.
Any other questions? Who's ready to play ball? Play ball. All right.
Thanks again, guys.
We all good. We all good.
All right. Everybody give Aaron Rife a thumbs up.
Two for Rife. Oh, no. Early ejection.
Guys.
I see it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Again, we'll be in touch here. Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.